Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going to be doing my lovely client Amber's nails. I have been obsessed with her almond shape, the length, everything just looks so cute. So I got very excited that we're going to be doing some Valentine Day nails today. So we're going to be doing a very bright pink, some nude nails, and then of course some nail art to top off the perfect Valentine's Day nail set. Now we're going to start off by using my Not Polish Efile at a speed of about 9,000 RPMs. And I am going to be removing her current acrylic design. If you are not familiar with doing acrylic nails with colored acrylic, this is pretty much the process that you would do if you prefer not to soak off nails. Whenever a client comes in and has an existing colored acrylic, you want to go ahead and fully file that off. I do tend to leave just a smidge on the nail because I always get terrified to overfile her nail, but at that point you can pretty much soak them off depending on whether you like to do soak offs or not. I definitely do not like doing soak offs, and neither do my clients, so we pretty much just go in with a color that will fully cover that, and you'll be able to see the process as well on this video. So I'm just going to continue to fully remove her design that she has on her nails along with that colored acrylic, and you can kind of see like some of the colors coming through as well. We will sometimes end up with a nice little rainbow design underneath her acrylic because, again, like I said, I typically try to remove all of the acrylic, but sometimes we have a little bit left behind. I'm going to be focusing on all those edges from her nail because I want to make sure that we fully remove that acrylic from those areas, specifically to prevent any lifting issues she might encounter. Per se, if she did have a little bit of lifting and I left that under there, moisture can get trapped under there, and we want to prevent any type of issues that come with acrylic nails as best as possible. So removing all of the lifted areas is always, always, always a must. Now always remember, when doing this process, you want to make sure you are continuously moving across the nail. Do not stay in one area for longer than, honestly, a second or so. I make sure that I am moving frequently. You can see me change positions. You can see me change the position of my handpiece. I am moving across the nail at all times, whether it's from one of the corners to the other corner, to the bottom, to the middle. I am always bouncing around the nail to ensure that we do not cause heat spike, because I promise you, if you have not encountered that, it hurts so very much. So we want to make sure that we are keeping the entire process of doing acrylic nails a nice, pleasant experience. Now, once we're done removing the bulk of that acrylic, I'm gonna go in with a mandrel bit. This one is the small mandrel bit from Kiara Sky, but you can use whichever one you have in your stash or your choice. This one is the small one, so it means it's extra small and it is nice and thin to get into those hard to reach areas. I use this one or the regular one just depending on what I'm feeling or what I have in reach. And I am using a medium grit sanding band. That has always been my choice of grit, but you can always use fine, and I definitely wouldn't recommend using a coarse one unless you're very much so a professional, but it can always be easier to over drill using a coarse bit. So I try to stick to medium or fine. If you're a beginner nail tech, stick to a fine bit. For this process, I'm gonna focus on trying to remove a little bit more of that colored acrylic, but I'm pretty much focusing on that natural nail at this point. This bit is fine to use on a natural nail, so this is when I'm going to be buffing off that shine from her natural nail to help all of those products adhere. It's pretty much just etching or scratching at the surface of the nail, so that way it kind of holds the acrylic a little bit better. And at this point as well, since I do not use a cuticle pusher, I go ahead and use the tip of this to gently push back the cuticle from my clients if they want me to do any cuticle work. During this process, you want to make sure you have your Efile at about 4,000 RPMs. I do go down to 3 with the not polished one because it is extra strong in my opinion. So that way you can very carefully remove that excess shine without damaging the natural nail. Next, to do a little bit more of the cuticle work, this is going to help remove the excess dead skin from that cuticle area. This is a small diamond bit. Absolutely love using these bits. They are nice and tapered at the tip, so it's very easy to get into those hard to reach areas. I'm also going to be pushing back the cuticle nicely with this one without harming my client. And again, still at 3,000 to 4,000 RPMs on my Efile and very light pressure when doing this process. I'm simply just removing that excess dead skin, which you can see all that white little dust coming off from her nail is such a pleasant feeling. I feel like it's just so satisfying to see all of that come up, and you just start seeing the nail come together nice and clean, new, and nicely prepped. I'm gonna go in with the lint free wipe, a little bit of Young Nail Swipe to fully remove that excess dust, but also dehydrate the nail. If you prefer to use a dehydrator, definitely do so, but make sure you remove that dust beforehand. Now I'm going to be going in with a dehydrator as well. I tried to start implementing this in my process because she was experiencing a little bit more lifting. My client does do hair, so she is in water and chemicals all the time. So every once in a while, her nails do lift more than usual. So I want to make sure that I am kind of adding a few steps here and there to test out what products work best for her lifestyle. Now for our acrylic application, do note that I am using the Not Polish acrylic brush in a size 12. I am also using the Kiara Sky Monomer. It is HEMA free, so reason why I have switched and transitioned over to using that monomer with all of my acrylic powders. Next, for our acrylic application, I'm going to be doing pretty much just an acrylic overlay on her natural nail. As you can see, that is her natural nail length, which I'm obsessed with. I wish I could totally do that, but with my way of being, I am a picker, and I would 100% pick my natural nail off of that acrylic from underneath. So we just stick to tips over here. I'm going to be focusing on making sure that I have a color that matches what she wants, but also that it is opaque enough to cover the colors that she has existing on her nails. So for example, this pinky nail had a little bit of that brown acrylic that we previously placed on her nails. So I want to make sure that I am picking up powder that is nice and opaque, that has zero sheerness to it. That way it fully covers it and I don't have to worry about the brown peeking through. So I ended up choosing this very beautiful pink color from Kiara Sky. It is super blendable. The formula is amazing and it is very opaque in comparison to a lot of the other brands that I already use. I typically tend to go with Glam and Glitz or Kiara Sky or even Model 1. Something that is a little bit cheaper or less expensive will work as well. That's why I've always said since the beginning, if you've been watching my videos, it is not that big of a deal to have very expensive high-end products, because those powders that I first started with, which was Glam and Glitz, I still talk about them till this day because I still use them all the time. And I will never get rid of them because they are just so chalky and so opaque. They work extremely well for 3D nail art and for covering colors like these. So keep that in the back of your head when picking different acrylic powders. But if you're okay with soaking off, then definitely just do that route and disregard everything that I just said. But it's just kind of something that I got used to. My clients don't mind it, and it just seems a little bit easier for me and my personal liking. So we're just gonna go ahead and finish applying that acrylic. Again, basic acrylic application. I am focusing on medium-sized beads, and we're just gonna start applying from the tip upwards towards the cuticle area. And I always ensure that I'm looking at the nail from different angles. A little bit later on in the video, you will see me go back and add a little bit of acrylic onto those sides because I did miss some of the areas. So do note that even though the application from this angle looks good, you always have to look at the nail from every single angle to ensure the application is perfect. Now for our accent nails, we did go with nude. Stunning color. It goes with every single skin tone. So if you want a beautiful nude color that goes with every skin tone, 10 out of 10 recommend that one. And for our other accent nail, we're going to be doing a full glitter nail. This beautiful glitter is from Profiles Backstage. It is nice and chunky. It is absolutely stunning and one of my favorite pink glitters. Rest in peace to this beautiful glitter. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw my video where I showed that I spilled this entire jar of loose glitter all over the floor, my pants, my shoes. It just happens in the worst times. I just went ahead and put it to the side, did not even worry about it until I was done doing her nails, but it was definitely a heartbreak. I will definitely have to replace this one. I'm gonna go ahead and apply that. I'm pretty much adding a thin layer of acrylic on there, and I used the Nude Panther one. No specific reason, it was just what I had in front of me. I'm applying a thin layer of that and adding the chunky glitter and working my way towards up that cuticle area. That acrylic that we first lay on the nail is going to help the glitter stick, but it's also going to prevent lifting issues. If I were to go straight with the glitter on there, it's not gonna adhere properly, it's not even gonna stick, and the nail's just gonna pop right off. So always make sure you add a thin layer of clear, pink, whatever you choose. I now am going in with clear acrylic and encapsulating this nail. You also want to do this to add strength back into the nail, but also to help protect that surface. That way when you go in and file and shape out the nail, you're not filing off the glitter at all. I always work in very thin layers, so if you notice that I added Nude Panther on there thin as my base for the glitter, I added the glitter nice and thin, making sure that I flattened it out, and then I'm also adding the clear acrylic a little bit on the thicker side, but still thin, to have that natural, beautiful look for her type of nails. I'm gonna go ahead and encapsulate the rest of these, just adding a little bit of clear on those colored nails to add a little bit of strength back into that acrylic. And then we're gonna get into filing the nail.
Sobrepasar los límites de tu figura, bajar por tu cuerpo y llevarte a las alturas. Tenerte sería una experiencia religiosa. Este maón es otra cosa. Sigue peleándome así como si el mundo llegara a su fin.
Now for our filing process, I do try to lay my acrylic nice and smooth. So this is very minimal. I'm focusing on that cuticle area to make sure that it is nice and flush to her natural nail. This is going to help prevent any lifting issues you may have. And then I'm also going to fully file the surface of the nail very, very gently, very light pressure. I do have my Efile at about 9,000 RPMs, and I'm using a 5-in-1 bit for this. I believe this one is a pro one, so it is nice and fine at the tip, which is part of the bit that I'm pretty much using the most, focusing on that cuticle area. Next, we're gonna go in with a hand file, and then we're gonna finish filing that nail into the perfect almond shape.
Todo fluyó natural, de lejos se notaba la energía sexual. Mami, ¿qué más? Hay algo en ti que me tiene mal, una belleza que me quema. Cuando vaya, la nota me estalla. Mami, ¿qué más? Hay algo en ti que me tiene mal. Sé que anda puesta para el problema. Dale, vaya, que yo te doy falla, falla. Deja que los cuerpos hablen, no hace falta más. Sí, ya muy bien tú sabes lo que va a pasar. Tú me pones la mente a volar. Deja que los cuerpos hablen, no hace falta más. Sí.
Now I'm going in with a sponge buffer, and we're just going to be buffing the surface of the nail to make sure that it is nice and smooth for our nail art application.
Si conmigo te dejas llevar,
Now we're going to be cleaning the surface of the nail with a little bit of Young Nail Swipe and a lint-free wipe. And now for the fun part, we're going to be adding some nail art over top. Do note that I am using the liner brush from Veeda Bella. I am using the short liner. That is like my go-to brush for my nail art. It is the perfect length and they are double-sided. So do note that you get two brushes in one. One side is always a little bit thicker, shorter, or longer depending on which one you have. But I'm going to go in with some hearts on that nude nail. And I'm pretty much doing white ones and a light pink color. You can always mix and match the shapes of them, the size of the hearts, just to make it look a little bit more cute and so adorable. I'm going to go ahead and place both of those colors on there, and then we're going to cure in the light for a full 60 seconds. Do note that with very opaque gel polish colors, always, always, always cure for a full 60 seconds. Now for our index finger, we're gonna go in with an X and a O. I'm going in with that white color, and I'm pretty much just doing an X and a O, and then I'm gonna add 2 hearts as well on that nail, kind of diagonal to make it fill up that entire nail. And then again, curing that in the light for a full 60 seconds. Now we're going to be going in with the stain resistant top coat from Young Nails. I'm going to be adding a thin layer of that on all of her nails. This helps prevent any stainage on clients that smoke, handle hair color, do lots of things where they can stain their nails. A 10 out of 10 recommend it, and I will forever recommend it because it is so good. I always use it on my toes as well to prevent stainage on my white toenails. I'm gonna go ahead and add a thin layer of that, and then again, fully cure for a full 60 seconds. I like to do 2 rounds just to be safe, but do as you please. You can always do the 90-second option on your light if you have that option available. Next, I'm going in with a lint-free wipe and a little bit of Young Nail Swipe, and we're going to be cleansing the surface of that nail, making sure we remove that tacky layer. I'm going to add a little bit of cuticle oil to her cuticles, rub that in nicely. But that pretty much concludes today's video. Let me know down below if you liked these. I think they're so adorable. And do note that if you have entered any of my most recent giveaways, please go watch my 2 previous videos because I did announce winners in those videos. I need to get those sent out and they are unclaimed. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.